Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. Today I have a massive fantasy and sci-fi book haul for you. So, May the 9th, so like 11, 12 days ago, was my birthday. And for my birthday, I got a ton of books. I also got some bookshop vouchers and some Amazon vouchers. And also, since the last time I've done a book haul, I have had 2 books come in from a certain special edition subscription service. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through these books in a completely random order, and we will just have a chat a little bit about every single book, apart from the first 2 books, because there's 2 of them in the same series. So I didn't want to... I'm not going to talk about one, then talk about the other. We may as well talk about them both, which is Kingdoms of Death and Ashes of Man by Christopher Rocchio, which is book 4 and book 5 of the Sun Eater sequence. Can you tell that I forgot that as we were going through the description? So, number one, first thing is, these covers are really nice. I think Demon in White was the first UK cover that I preferred to the US cover, and these 2 are just like, these are like works of art. I would have these as like art prints in my home. I think they're genuinely beautiful. And while we don't judge a book by its cover, what we do judge it by is the previous 3 books in the series, which were amazing. Well, I say that actually, I think if I had not heard so much good stuff, I probably would have not continued after Empire of Silence. But basically each book has gone up a star. So Empire of Silence was a 3-star, Howling Dark was a 4-star, and Demon in White was a 5-star. So I assume that these are 6 and 7-star books. I do have to read Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2 before I start these, but because these were originally going to be one mega book, and the publisher asked Rocchio to cut them down and split into 2, I won't need to read anything between these 2. So it's going to be one short story collection, which I think I'm going to slot into the TBR after I finish reading the Fires of Heaven. So, because the Tales of the Sun Eater books are very, very quick. Well, the last one I read in a single day, very, very quick reads. So I'm thinking this will probably be the same. I have not done any research or investigation, but that's my that's how I'm thinking. But so I'm really looking forward to reading these 2. I won't be reading them back to back. I will read one next month and one the month after, unless there is some madness that is forcing me to read them back to back. I think, yeah. So yeah, this is the next one. Kingdoms of Death is now up next. So really excited to read these. We can't talk forever about every single book though, because the pile of books next to me is so precarious because it is massive. Let's get on. I'm going to put all the books on the floor when I've finished with them. Let's get on to the second book, which is book 6 of the Wheel of Time. I basically, every time I am being given a bookshop voucher or something like that, or some kind of voucher or whatever, I am buying the next Wheel of Time book, just so that it's ready. I'll be reading this one in June. Ideally, it'll be one of the first books I start in June. So, lovely floppy paperback. This is not the best edition of this one. The best edition is the one without the Prime Video sticker, which is what all my other ones have been. However, this is fine. Maybe one day I will swap it out for my perfect preferred editions. But in fact, let me show you the difference. So this one, Fires of Heaven, is the latest version of these books. And you can see the difference in that there's no Amazon Prime sticker, which is obviously a massive win. But the book is a lot floppier. So yeah, this is a much more fun book to read than this will be. However, I'm still loving Wheel of Time. I'm really looking forward to getting to Lord of Chaos, because some people say in my comments that is the start of the slog. So I'm genuinely really excited to see what people are talking about. But let's not talk about the slog, because we're definitely not there yet. Let's talk about Wool by Hugh Howey, which is also, God, look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Head of Zeus, who's publishing the Sunita books from Kingdoms of Death onwards, sort your floppiness out. It's too stiff, that paperback. So this is a lovely floppy paperback. This is Wool by Hugh Howey. This is the first in the Silo trilogy that was adapted into a TV show by Apple TV Plus. I believe this is the TV cover, but it's good enough that you can kind of... It's not Rebecca Ferguson's face in a massive picture. There's a lot of cat hair on this book. The other books you probably know what they're about, but this one you may not. So I'll read you the blurb. So, in a ruined and hostile landscape, in a future where few people have been unlucky enough to survive, a community exists in a giant underground silo. Inside, men and women live an enclosed life full of rules and regulations, but some people choose not to conform. These are the people who dare to hope and dream. These are the dangerous ones. Jules is one of these people, and she may well be the last. So, yeah, I've heard great things about this one. I have been looking for some sci-fi stuff to add to my TBR, because my TBR is like 80% fantasy. So because of that, I'm trying, where basically when someone recommends me a sci-fi book, usually I plan to read it, because if someone likes it enough to recommend it, it's probably worth my time to at least check out the book. Maybe I'll get it from the library. This one was another book voucher one, so I went to my local Waterstones in Weston-super-Mare, and that was where I actually picked up these two together. So I picked up Wheel of Time and Wool. The Wool of Time. No, probably not. So up next, we have a book that I have been bullied into purchasing. Well, not really. It's a book that I've been wanting to read for a very long time, and that is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. So a lot of people love this book. I bought this book in 2011, I think, on Kindle, and I read like probably the prologue and then never picked it back up again. When I had an Amazon voucher for my birthday for £30 from my dad, and I basically went out and I bought 6 books. So in fact, do I have all 6? I have all 6 here. I did actually get them all out. So I bought 6 books with that. All the books were secondhand from Amazon Warehouse, because I don't need pristine, beautiful copies of my paperbacks, because most paperbacks I will read and then either resell or donate to the library or what have you. So this book I am really excited to get to read. I keep saying, I'll read that next month. I'll read that next month. So I'm not going to say that anymore. I do still really want to try and get Gardens of the Moon read in June, so that I know whether I want to buy the Broken Binding Malazan editions. But there is a part of me that's saying, just buy them, read your paperback copy, and then you'll probably be able to resell the Malazan Broken Binding editions. I'm not a huge fan of spending money that I'm not 100% sure on whether I like something, especially when it's that high an amount of money. But I do think that it'll probably be worth it. And I mean, having 10 amazing looking hardbacks on my shelf for a series that is many fantasy readers, top #1 fantasy series of all time, kind of makes sense. I like, if the Broken Binding was doing the Wheel of Time, like even before I had read it, I probably would have gone in on that. So maybe I should listen to the other creators and go like, right, it's time to get into Malazan. But my original plan was to read Malazan directly after Wheel of Time. So honestly, who knows? But the First Law is an extremely popular grim dark fantasy series. I don't know why I spent the entire time holding Blade Itself talking about Malazan. Probably because I conflate the two in my head, because they're both beloved by similar people. Anyway, so This is The Blade itself. It's the first book in the First Law trilogy. I know very little about this apart from I know the names of a couple of characters. And I'm going to kind of keep it that way because I do trust my friends that I will love this book. Looking forward to reading this one. This is a really nice edition because it's like embossed. So the gold is embossed. And it's lovely matte texture cover. A lot of the book covers in the UK are like a shiny texture and they like collect fingerprints like absolutely nobody's business. But this is a really nice matte texture. Really looking forward to reading that. Especially that physical copy seems like it's going to be a real nice one. Let's talk about other peer pressure books. So my friend Mare has been bullying me to read John Gwynne. I have read the Bloodsworn saga, the first 2 books, and I will be reading the 3rd one on release this year. But I had been holding off on reading the Faith and the Fallen, mostly because I was like, well, I'm already reading a lot of other big fantasy series and don't want to get things confused. And then I decided to throw all of that out the window. So I bought Malice, first book in the Faith and the Fallen. This book was like 63 pence on Amazon. Obviously there was a delivery charge which probably made up the actual amount that the bookseller wanted. But when I had that £30 voucher, I was like, well, 63 pence, you can't say no. I had been holding off on buying this one because it's on Kindle Unlimited. So I was like, oh, well, why buy a book if it's on Kindle Unlimited? And then I was just thinking like, realistically, I love reading physical books and I much prefer reading physical books. So if I have the physical book, I'm much more likely to read it. Maybe we'll do an experiment this summer where I just mood read for an entire summer, fantasy, sci-fi, fantasy, sci-fi, fantasy, sci-fi, and just read whatever I fancy. That could be really fun. Maybe I will do that. Next up, V. Schwab's Darker Shade of Magic. So this is an urban fantasy, which I am always on the lookout for a good urban fantasy because I love the Dresden Files. This is also an alternate universe fantasy from what I know. Let me read you the blurb because you may not have heard of this one. It's not as massive on BookTube, or at least the BookTube that I watch, if that makes sense. V. Schwab seems to be huge in book circles. She always comes like into the top 10 books and on Goodreads every year that she publishes something, but none of the booktubers that I follow, and I don't think that it's a men thing because I follow a lot of female booktubers as well, but no booktubers that I follow have ever really read her stuff, so I want to be that canary in the coal mine for my booktube. Although I know that Laura from Hardy's Books has read some of her stuff and hated it. So, okay, Kell is one of the last travellers, magicians with a rare ability to travel between parallel universes connected by one magical city. There's Grey London, without magic and ruled by the Mad King George III. Red London, where magic is revered and where Kell was raised alongside the heir to the Empire. White London, where people fight to control the remaining magic and magic fights back. And once there was Black London. So I'm super interested in this because I do love parallel universe stories. Yeah, just looking forward to reading it. I've never read any V. Schwab. This is now the like 4th V. Schwab book in our house because I bought 2 for my wife that she has not read. But she says she does want to read them. So that's a benefit, I guess. And while we're on V. Schwab, I could not help myself and I bought Vicious. So this is the first book in V. Schwab's superhero series. And I love superhero stuff. I'm a huge Marvel superhero MCU fan. Even though everybody hates the MCU now, I still love it. I would happily rewatch all of those films in order. I'm a huge superhero nerd, always have been. And Vicious is a actually quite well liked superhero story. I don't know if you can hear this, but Gus is meowing his absolute tits off. You okay, buddy? You all right? Don't know what he's doing now. He's just sitting on a pile of books. So, I'll read you the back for Vicious. Victor and Eli started out as college roommates, brilliant, arrogant, lonely boys who recognized the same ambition in each other. A shared interest in adrenaline, near-death experiences, and seemingly supernatural events reveals an intriguing possibility that under the right conditions, someone could develop extraordinary abilities. But when their thesis moves from the academic to the experimental, things go horribly wrong. 10 years later, Victor breaks out of prison, determined to catch up to his old friend, now foe, aided by a young girl with a stunning ability. Meanwhile, Eli is on a mission to eradicate every other superpowered person that he can find, aside from his sidekick, an enigmatic woman with an unbreakable will. Armed with a terrible power on both sides, driven by the memory of betrayal and loss, the arch nemesis have set a course for revenge, but who will be left alive at the end? So, I was getting some big, like, Reed Richards, Dr. Doom vibes from the opening paragraph, but that's not how the rest of the book feels from the second paragraph. Yeah, this is, I guess, because it's superhero, does that make it sci-fi? I don't know. I'll let people let me know what they think. Is this a sci-fi book? Is this a fantasy book? I'm looking forward to reading that one. I don't know when I'm going to slot all this stuff in, but like I said, I do think that I will probably do like a mood reading summer, try out being a mood reader for a while. I will obviously still be keeping to the schedule of one Wheel of Time book a month. But yeah, maybe we'll do some more mood reading stuff. Next up, while we're on the topic of superhero stuff, I have another superhero novel. This is also a secondhand book. As you can see, the massive crease on the cover. This is A Once Crowded Sky by Tom King, who is, in my opinion, the best writer currently writing comic books right now. And he wrote this novel. So let me... there is no blurb on the back of this. No, I'm pretty certain there's no blurb here. We're keeping looking. We're looking. I'm pretty certain there's no blurb for this book. Yeah, Tom King is an absolutely fantastic writer. Some of the pages are actually comic book pages, which is really cool. But it is a novel, but it's just got quite a lot of comic stuff in there, which I really enjoy. Let me read you what it says here. So, a tour de force debut novel from former CIA counterterrorism officer Tom King, A Once Crowded Sky fuses bombastic comic book style storytelling with modern literary fiction. Supermen, stripped of their powers, must wrestle danger in a world without heroes. Yeah, super excited to read this one because I just love Tom King. I think that, as I said, he's the best writer in comics going. He's currently on Wonder Woman, and that's absolutely fantastic. His Batman run was like legendary. And when people ask me for comic book recommendations, 90% of the time I'm like, okay, what characters do you like? Has Tom King written that character? So, yeah, looking forward to reading that one as well. Final non-special edition book today is another sci-fi, Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. Technically a pen name for Ty Frank and Daniel Abraham, who co-wrote this series. Pardon me. So, The Expanse is, well, Leviathan Wakes is the first book in The Expanse. This page is folded over on my secondhand book here. But we buy secondhand copies because paper books are meant to be read. That's a big Hardy's Books thing. They have like their fancy, super antiquarian book collection, and then they have like paperbacks they read in the bath or whatever. I don't read in the bath, but I do read sci-fi books. And this is like, I would say before Sunita got big, The Expanse was like the sci-fi series that everyone was like, you've got to read The Expanse. And while it's kind of fallen into the background a bit because it's not currently releasing it, it's completed. And Sunita, because most of the booktubers that I follow are more fantasy than sci-fi, and Sunita is very sci-fantasy more than anything. The Expanse has kind of fallen out of vogue, out of favour, but I am in desperate need for sci-fi books that are well loved and recommended. So I'm reading The Expanse. And this is a 10-book series. It is set in kind of it's not a near future, but it's like humanity has left Earth, but there's still a lot of present day humanity in terms of how the culture and society works. So I'll read the back in case you are not aware of what The Expanse is. Welcome to the future. Humanity has colonized the solar system, Mars, the moon, the asteroid belt, and beyond, but the stars are still out of our reach. Jim Holden is an officer on an ice miner, making runs from the rings of Saturn to the mining stations of the belt. When he and his crew stumble on a derelict ship, the Scopuli, they find themselves in possession of a secret they never wanted. A secret that someone is willing to kill for, and kill on a scale unfathomable to Jim and his crew. War is brewing in the system unless Jim can find out who left the ship and why. Detective Miller is looking for a girl. One girl in a system of billions, but her parents have money, and money talks. When the trail leads him to the Scopuli and rebel sympathizer Holden, he realizes that this girl may hold the key to everything. Holden and Miller must thread the needle between the Earth government, the outer planet revolutionaries, and secretive corporations, and the odds are against them. But out in the belt, the rules are different, and one small ship can change the fate of the universe. I'm super excited to read this because I do really like detective stories in genre fiction. So Dresden Files, tangentially you could say The Tainted Cup and Empire of the Wolf, both kind of detectives, like kind of mystery stories. And if that is what this is, a sci-fi kind of political thriller with a detective story in it, I'm going to be hooked. So I'm excited to read this one. Now, let's go on to the Broken Binding. So, as you guys may know, I got onto the Broken Bindings Sci-Fi subscription list. So, I received my first book now, and it is The Martian by Andy Weir. I actually had absolutely no desire to read this book. I signed up for the Broken Binding Sci-Fi because I knew I wanted to be on their sci-fi list. And I wanted to start getting books from the Broken Binding. I'm hoping to get on their fantasy list at some point. One of my friends was signed up within the same month as me, and they got an invite at the beginning of the year. So they're doing another round of invites in June. So I'm hoping that I will get in on that one. But let's talk about The Martian. So The Martian is basically a story that was made into a Matt Damon movie by Andy Weir of a man who gets trapped on Mars. So, and he then has to survive for a year, for as long as it takes. But I've seen the movie, so I know it's a year on Mars to await rescue. So the Broken Binding edition is very nice. It's a very nice minimal front cover. The spine is lovely. I like the kind of font treatment that they've gone with, and it matches all the other books as well that are coming to me from the Broken Binding. It's got a nice kind of minimal back cover, and then the spine is really pretty. It's got this kind of Martian astronaut sort of thing going on, and then obviously the top and bottom are black, as they are with many Broken Binding books. Then we've got some, let's open this up and take out. This is going to be a long video, you guys, because I've still got one more book to talk about. So you've got the naked hardcover is the same as the front cover, but without the typography. And then on the inside, we have a different astronaut picture to the spine. And then that's the same on the back end paper. This one, unfortunately, does not have a ribbon. I was really hoping that there would be a ribbon because I do like ribbons in books. But the one thing I will say is that the paper is absolutely lovely. You can tell that this book has been made proper lovingly. I'm a huge fan of the Broken Binding now, having received 2 of their books. So this is the first book on the Sci-Fi sub. I don't have my second one yet, but I do have another book that I bought from the Broken Binding from their special edition section, and that is The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan, which is the first book in his Last Legacy series. I don't know how many books are in this series, but I do know that this edition is beautiful. So this is the regular hardback cover. So this cover is basically exactly the same as the regular hardback. And in fact, even has like the barcodes and the publisher imprints and stuff on it. But when you open this bad boy up, you are treated to multiple new pieces of art. So the first thing is that the cover kind of extends and continues on the spine, and it's all the way, not the spine, sorry, the sprayed edges. It's all the way on these sprayed edges. And then we have this piece of artwork. I'm trying to hold it up without destroying the book. So this piece of artwork, which is genuinely lovely. It's real hard to display this without covering it. Then we have on the interior, we have this one, which is actually my personal favorite. This is my favorite piece of art from the edition. And then we have a final piece on the back end paper, which is a kind of moody dungeon exploring piece. I'm looking forward to seeing these scenes take place. This one also, what have we got? We've got a ribbon. We've got a ribbon. Do you know what? We'll put that ribbon in chapter 1 right now. And we do have a signature as well. I've got 1333, which is a cool number, I think. I don't know. So where's chapter 1? We're finding it. Or maybe there's a prologue. Is there a prologue? There is no prologue, criminal. Okay, so I'm putting my ribbon in chapter 1. I'm not reading this for a while, but at least now, when I go to read it, it'll be in the right place. So yeah, The Silver Blood Promise. I'll read you the description for the blurb on this one. It's been massively popular and well discussed on BookTube, and a lot of people read it last year because that's when the ARCs went out. But I did get an ARC for it. But when I heard the Broken Binding were doing an edition, I was like, no, I'm going to read this physically from my Broken Binding edition. And I absolutely panicked and was going mad and was like, oh no, I'm not going to get it. And then it was incredibly easy to get a copy. But Lucan Gardover is a card sharp, academy dropout, and, thanks to a duel that ended badly, the disgraced heir to an ancient noble house. His life consists of cheap wine, rigged card games, and wondering how he might win back the life he threw away. When Lucan discovers that his estranged father has been murdered by unknown assailants, he finds fresh purpose. Deprived of his chance to make amends for his mistakes, he vows to unravel the mystery behind his father's death. His search for answers leads him to Sophrona, fabled city of merchant princes, where anything can be bought if one has the coin. Lucan only seeks the truth, but instead he finds danger and secrets in every shadow. For in Sophrona, everything has a price, and the price of truth is the deadliest of all. So James Logan is the author, is an author. This is his debut novel, but he's actually the editor for The Empire of the Wolf and for several other fantasy series that you know and love. So I think that probably tells you that he is a pretty decent author or has a good grasp of story if he's able to help these authors shape what has been one of my favorite recent modern fantasy series. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one as well. I've got a lot of fantasy books that have come in over the recent times because I love fantasy. So if I'm going to buy books, usually I'm buying fantasy. And the problem now is that I have a lot of self-pub fantasy to read for SPFBO. I need to read 6 books this summer. I'm going to do a video about SPFBO and about the books that I have been drafted in to review. But the catch on these books is that if I read like, a third or whatever, and they're really not grabbing me, I will be DNFing them because they aren't books that I chose for myself. And also, if a book isn't grabbing me, I know I should be DNFing it anyway, but I'm not. I'm not doing that. I am mostly reading every book I pick to completion. So Yeah, there's a lot of fantastic fantasy books here. Lord knows when they're going to get read. Most of the sci-fi books will get read soon, I think, because I am going to need sci-fi to separate out all these SPFBO books. But so yeah, I think The Martian will probably get read soon. I think Leviathan Wakes will get read soon, and Once Crowded Sky will get read soon, and possibly Vicious. And obviously the Sun Eater books I'll be continuing one a month if I can. But this is probably here like a good chunk of my summer of sci-fi stuff. So if you're interested in any of these books, and while I say the fantasy books might not get read for a while, I will be reading them, you know, might not be reading them next month. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have read any of these books and you think I should put them to the top of my priority list, then drop a comment down below and let me know. If you don't like any of these books, then let me know too. That probably won't influence me as much because I've picked these based on people whose taste I know I really, really vibe with. But I'll definitely be listening to people if people are saying, this book's terrible, don't read it. They might go a bit lower down the TBR. Unless it's a sci-fi book, because as I said, I do really need these sci-fi books. Let me know what you're planning to read and what you've been buying in your recent book hauls. And thanks so much for watching. Please, as I always say, if you've liked this video, give it a like. Drop a comment down below to chat with me and subscribe to the channel. Every little subscription helps. Thanks so much, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Goodbye.